had a dream that I got everything I wanted, right? Hold on, it's not what you think. I mean, and if I'm being honest, it might have been a nightmare to anyone who might care. Well, I thought I could fly, right? So I stepped off the Golden and nobody cried. I mean, nobody even noticed. I saw them standing right there. I, you know, I kind of thought they might care. I had a dream. I got everything I wanted. But when I wake up, I see you with me. And you say, as long as I'm here, no one can hurt you. Don't want to lie here, but you can learn to. If I could change the way that you see yourself, you wouldn't wonder why you hear they don't deserve you. I tried to scream, but my head was underwater. And they called me weak, like I'm not just somebody's daughter. I mean, it could have been a nightmare. But it felt like they were right there. And it feels like yesterday was a year ago. But I don't want to let anybody know because everybody wants something from me now. And I don't want to let them down. I had a dream that I got everything I wanted. If I knew it all then, would I do it again? Would I do it again? If they knew what they said would go straight to my head, what would they say instead? What would they say instead? Welcome back to the AWAP Zone Podcast, Drama Ministry Edition. The A to Z on how to create a foundationally sound drama ministry. Welcome back. I wanted to start the podcast off with something a little different because this week, this chapter, this episode, we are talking about adapting scripts to fit whatever your vision is. Now, that monologue I just did was out of the lyrics of Billie Eilish. That was a song she did that I happen to enjoy. I love the thought. I love the melody of the process of that actual lyrical masterpiece. And if I'm wanting to maybe use that for my other branch of my company under the Juju Star Productions LLC, in which I own, I would definitely use that to say, hey, you are not alone in feeling like no one cares. It happens. It happens to us all. And look, a famous person actually wrote about that feeling, right? So then you get to a point where you're able to move into that and have something to say and build a whole communication and dialogue around. Because once people can relate, they become engaged. When they're on a level of, oh, well, I've done that myself. Or I've experienced something like that. Let me tell you how it went for me. Or, oh my goodness, that has to be horrible to feel like that. I had a similar experience, but maybe it wasn't exactly like that. You see what I'm saying? So when you choose your scripts, when you choose, always have a, okay, what is the takeaway from this? What should they remember? What should they ponder upon once they leave? What can we leave in their hearts? Like, are we going to leave that hate? You just out here on your own? Nothing we could do about it. Or do we want to leave them with, we are not so different. We are not so different. And I'm glad that I had the opportunity to share this with you. It was my pleasure. And for them to say, you know what? They relate to me. They see me like I am being heard, even though I'm not the one speaking. So your scripts have to, depending on what your vision is for that one in the moment, relate and capture that moment that you want to capture. Remember, the vision is yours. The themes to pick are yours. What you think might be best is up to you. And if you don't know what could be best, you consult with our King, with our Savior, with the one who's given you the ability to complete these tasks. So therefore, you're right on board with the message that He would like you to share. See, we do not lead into our own understanding, but in all thy ways acknowledge Him, and He will direct thy paths. So we never have to feel overwhelmed, actually, because we have a whole legion of angels, I heard. We have a whole heavenly realm of ancestors, I've heard, that have made the path for us. We have a Holy Spirit that will lead us in all truth. We just have to be in tune with who we really are, silence the external voices, and go back to that place of power with the Lord and say, I am here for your will. What shall we do? And I tell you, He will answer you. If you know what I'm saying, if you give Him a real chance, He will give you a real answer. And then we wait for that answer. And there will be some sort of inspiration. There will be some sort of, what they call it in the Americas, um, divine guidance, to show you. Because He said, I'll lead thee with thine eye. So He'll give you a picture, He'll let you see something, and there's the inspiration has been birthed. So always have a pen and paper on you or a recording device. You can say, hey, this is what I want to do this over. Okay? So you say to yourself on the recording device, or you capture that moment so that you can go back to it. And then there is where you start to either write your script, to find a script that matches that energy, or to be like, have a brainstorm with your team in order to develop it more at your next meeting, because you could say, okay, guys, this is what, the Lord placed on my heart when I was da 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 da. And I think we have something here. You tell them your idea. You sit down and you actually let them speak and say, hey, you know what? I kind of like that. How about we add this or that? Well, we could make it, in the Bible in verse, now you have gold because it can be backed up with the word of God. And that is why we're here. That is where I am coming from, and or what I'm trying to bring to you is the how-tos right at home. That's the whole point of this, of my book, of me sharing this and going through it and giving you these extra little tidbits that you can't get in a written word. Because again, I'm led by inspiration and I put the actual roadmap in there. But now let's give a little extra. And you might say, why are you talking in that ridiculous voice? What had happened? Oh, I'm so glad you asked that. That was a very good question. So, over the past week or so, and the people that I've been speaking to in person, or maybe they're DMing me, or they're messaging me on the site at awapzone.com, and they're asking the question, well, how do we know if we are giving you a chance to come and do a workshop for our congregation, our members that want to be a part of this drama ministry, how do we know we're spending our money well and that you know what you're talking about and you know what you're doing? There's so many scammers out there. There's so many people trying to take our money. Well, I come from a place of I can show you better than I can tell you, but I can also tell you. So I've already told you vocally that I know what I'm doing. I've already communicated in written word that I'm pretty good and I do have the experience, if you go to my website in the About Me section, of actually doing these things myself, actually being on set with some really big namers. My last film that I did was in Petaluma, California, and John Voight was our star. And also that gentleman from that movie with Bruce Willis. I can never remember his name, but I know his face. The one where they went and oh goodness, it escapes me. The one where they went and they were going up to the moon, or there was an asteroid, they were trying to blow it up before it hit the earth, you know. I want to call it Armageddon, but I think it was called something else. In the chat, someone help me. So I wanted to put on this difficult yet super obnoxious dialogue in order to show you that I can also teach you how to do this, how to hold it, and how to keep moving forward. So you're not coming in and out of character, but you can stay in character. And it doesn't have to be this strong of a dialogue, of this type of accent, but it could if you need it to be. Because we all know what my real voice sounds like if you've been here on previous episodes. And then even when I, cut in and out doing the other question that someone asks in a different voice so that you can see the difference, we know it can be done. We see them. Oh, look at Idris. Okay? His first appearance to me was as an American. He is British. But he held his own and he conversed his tongue in order to sound like us a little bit better. You know what I mean? So, and he did very good. So you have to be trained because these movies take, months and months in order to film, and you have to be able to stay in character and come back to character once there is a break. So I teach that technical ability. And for you, maybe you're not doing a super film, right? A full-length feature film. Maybe you are doing theater performances. But maybe you are going to do a web series where you have to, you know what I mean? You have to keep that character. And of course, we go home and we go to sleep at night, but you have to be able to be in that character again. That is why character development is so important, because that keeps you on the where and the whys and the how and the who and the background in order to naturally appear in that persona. And it's not like you're trying to get into that persona. We don't want to see that kind of acting. So I thought it would be good if I showed you that, yes, I too can stay in character for long periods of time, even when it's not natural for me to do. And I had to do just a minimal character breakdown in order to get this going, just because I've jumped in and out so many times, and I don't want it to be such a severely thick accent that, you know, you just can't capture it. I want it to be more natural, excuse me, natural to myself, and I have a slight, because I'm could have been from there if you did not know me, and it's not so thick that I've grown up there all my life. I've actually been a traveler. So it's not that my dialogue is slipping away from me, but hearing other things, you kind of catch on to a little bit. So it's not too bad. But it's still in there with the accents, and where I put that hyphen, and where I accelerate my voice just a little bit and my tone in order to give that persona. So whatever you think you cannot do right now, that does not mean you can't do it tomorrow. Everything that you need to do, whatever you want to do, is always going to take two things. It's going to take knowledge, and it's going to take practice. I am here to give you that knowledge on how to run and sustain a foundationally sound drama ministry. I am here to teach those who would like to participate how to have the technical ability to do it and do it well. You know what I mean? Because I don't want them to be scared to be up there and say, oh, but what if I forget my lines? Well, how I teach you, you should not forget them, right? How I show you, you should not have that issue if you put in the practice. Because obviously, when you come to my workshop, you will get the knowledge. So I needed to do that in order to just show you that it can be done. Even if it's not naturally natural to you, you can still do it. Anyone can do it. I mean, we have people that came out of a womb, a home mother, born brand new, and years later, they can fly planes. Everything that you want to do, you can do. Don't doubt yourself. You can have faith and doubt. So let's get the knowledge to replace that doubt. Let's get the instruction to study and show thyself approved. You with me so far? Great. Now let's begin. All right. So, Chapter 5, Adapting Scripts. Adapting scripts for your drama ministry involves taking an existing play or story or lyrics or whatever you find and making modifications to better align it with your ministry's vision. Message, resource, and audience. Again, audience. Who are you trying to captivate? Adapting scripts can give you the flexibility to personalize the content and create a more meaningful and impactful production. Here's a more detailed explanation of how to adapt scripts for your drama ministry. So, number one, understand your vision. And again, is it the theme of the day? Is it the theme of the month? Is it the theme of the year? How are we putting this together? Start by revisiting your drama ministry's vision and objectives, understand the key messages you want to convey, and the overall tone you want to set with adaptation, right? So you make it your own. You cultivate it to fit what you want them to have as a takeaway. Right. And we kind of start from the back to the front. So we're saying, okay, this is what I want it to say and I want it to mean and what I want them to take with them when they leave. Okay. And then you go backwards. What script will help us do that? Number two, select an appropriate source. So choose a script or a story that has a foundation that aligns with your vision. It could be a classic play, a well-known story, or even a biblical narrative that can be reimagined. I would have to say personally, if you don't know where to start, let's hit that Bible. Let's go through some stuff in there. Why? That's where we live. It's easy to pull from a place that you live. You know what I mean? You know exactly where the forks are, right? Let's start there. It's packed with adventurous stories. Okay? Adventurous stories. I mean, even about, what is it, Ananiah? The ones who were lying about how much they brought in, and then, they got themselves in trouble for that. You know what I mean? So, we have a lot of stories, a lot of morally filled, hey, don't let this be you, or why don't you try to follow this path? This is, more likely the outcomes, right? Number three, identify key themes. Identify the central themes of the original script or story and consider how they can be adapted or to resonate more deeply with your audience or convey your intended message. Number four, modify characters. If necessary, modify characters to better reflect the culture, content, or value of the ministry. Develop characters that your audience can connect with and care about. What's relatable? How do we make this more relatable? Are we still going to use the thous and the thine and thieth? You know what I'm saying? Are we going to use that King James tongue? Are we going to use that dialect? Are we going to use that type of language? And then if we do, how are they speaking? Are we going to speak as such? Or are we going to make it more modern? And we're going to speak like this? How do you want to do it? There's 1,000 ways to skin a cat, right? And again, number five, tailor dialogue and language. Adjust the dialogue to suit the context of your ministry and the preference of your audience. Make sure the language used is relatable and appropriate for your intended message. Number six, incorporate spiritual elements. Of course we will. That's why we're going to hit up the book. If your drama ministry has a religious focus, consider incorporating spiritual elements, parables, or teachings that align with your faith communities, beliefs. Excuse me. So, what I meant by that is the spirituality of it. Let's not forget to bring that into it. We are more spiritual being than we are human. As far as, these bodies pass away, our spirit does not. These bodies are laid to rest. Our spirit does not. So, even speaking of the things that I've seen a lot of the churches stay away from now. Excuse me, being it, going to hell, going to heaven, and the what that looks like. I mean, talking about Revelation, that would be a great story. What happened? Why Satan come down here? So even before, the earth got started, blah blah blah, that fight they had up there. What kind of script could we put to that? Well, they have it written out in Revelation. What chapter are we going to focus on? Are we going to focus on where where he was talking to the churches? Where there was instruction being given to the churches? Are we going to focus on the part where, about Satan being the most angelic and his demise and why he had his demise? Are we going to talk about what? Right? So there's each chapter could be multiple variations of the same word, depending on how you wanted to see that. It could even be put into a comedy and be like, yo, he really messing up. Oh. And having maybe the background angels being like, what are you doing though? He said that? Like, you know what I mean? You can change it into whatever you would like. Be creative. Come outside the box. You don't have to worry. Even if 1,000 churches do something on that same, maybe 5 scriptures, let's say, right? There could be 1,000 different variations to that scripture, and they would all be valid. So don't limit yourself. Whatever you are feeling, whatever you and the Lord talked about as to, this is how we're going to do this, be unique. Be that salt of the earth. If he gives you an out of the box way that you never would have thought about doing, try it. Because he obviously has a reason for it. Don't just be like, well, we have to stick to the norms. We have to be conservative. We have to make sure everyone feels comfortable. But not if he said not to. Because maybe there's someone out there that he is trying to get their attention that you don't know about. And the only way to get that particular person's attention is by doing it like this. And then guess what? Maybe that person prayed about something and the Lord is like, I got you. And he said, I'll have them do it like this so that you know it came from me. You see what I'm saying? He's so strategic, and we are the vessels to be used as he says. You know what I mean? That's why we're here. That's why we do what we do. So make sure you keep him involved and you don't leave him out of what you're doing, because then it's not going to make sense, or it's not going to be what he would have really wanted. And he will tell you what he really wants. You don't have to hear it from a third person, remember? That's when he ripped down that veil. We can come straight to him. And he likes that. So, you know, and then watch what he does with your ministry. He ain't gonna leave you out there hanging. And we always, well, let me say me. I'm raising my hand. Maybe alone, maybe not. But some of the stuff he didn't have me do, I'd be like, all right, listen, I'm not crazy for real, but are you sure that's how we should, like, all right, cool. I'm okay. Like, I know I'm not the only one. Like, you sure, Lord? Like, you know what this gonna look like? But just like they said, if it seems like we're in our right mind, or if it seems like we're out of our minds, it's for your benefit. The Lord wants someone who will take that risk with him, that will trust him and follow through with what he said, right? How else you going to be able to be in a jail and praise the shackles up off you, right? There has to be trust. And we don't want to leave the Lord out of it. This is his thing, right? He is the one who gave you this gift. He is the one who gave you that desire. And he said, I will give you the desires of your heart. And if this is the desire of your heart and it's for kingdom building and it's for comforting his people in a way of either relating to them so they don't feel alone, or it's showing them a different perspective so they know, hey, we can get there. Trust the Lord. Number 7, streamline and condense. So adaptations often require condensing or streamlining the storyline. Focus on the core plot points and support your message while eliminating unnecessary subplots or details. Make it fit what your vision is. Bottom line. Number 8, introduce new scenes or characters. If needed, introduce new scenes, characters, or interactions that enhance the story's impact or better connect with your audience. So let's take Mr. Tyler Perry, right? He introduced us to new characters, and those characters have grown, evolved, and have longevity so that when we go and see something that he's producing, we kind of excited because we liked that character and we're glad he's bringing them back. Either it be from Korra or Medea or I don't know his fake name, but Mr. Man, in the colorful outfits, right? It's something that we're familiar with, something that we really like to see and we enjoy. And it always has a good message. And her voice is like, oh my goodness. I know I had a groupie moment with Mrs. Tamala Man when I met her in Texas. And just the nicest woman. She even asked me how was I doing? Was I enjoying the show? Because we were at a play, and she said, "Yeah, it's a friend of it was a friend of hers that was in the play, so she wanted to come and see and support." And I was like, "You are beautiful." I was like, "I love your voice. It's so impactful," and I don't know, she was just amazing. Um, but I was like, "Oh, she asked me how I was doing. Oh my god, she meant it. She sounds like she meant it." I was just like, nice. I was so excited. That was the best celebrity quote unquote meeting that I've had. Like I really enjoyed her and then to get to meet her, it was fantastic. She really is who she is. Um Amazing. Um so introduce those characters. If you want a long-standing character, have someone, have something. That they say, "Oh, she's coming back," or "Oh, he's coming back." Just something fun for the people, even if it's in a dramatic sense, or however you want to do that. There are no wrong answers unless the Lord told you to do something. You're like, nah, I got this. Then there's a problem. Then your ego is on that high rise, and we want to put that back down where it goes. Because if your ego starts being on that high rise, not your confidence, but if you're like more, oh, I got this now. I don't need to consult with you, Lord. I see what you said in the beginning. I'm just going to be tweaking it myself, and I'm going to be doing this myself, and I'm going to be coming up with all this stuff myself. He's gonna be like, yo, you remember that dude I had out there eating that grass who done lost his mind? Keep it up. You can have it too. Ding, 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 ding. Right? And nobody wants to be there. So, do what you would like to do. Make sure you're consulting the Lord. And then make sure that, because He's turning this into, I don't know what, into something great. I can feel when He's doing something in the background, but even though I can't see it, and me being able to give this information out to you is, I can feel it coming if we do this the right way, if we don't be afraid. That's why I'm giving this out to you in pieces. That's why I wrote the book, so you actually have something physical in your hand if you want to download it. And you can, type in your notes in there. And then I'll also be doing my hardcover version of it soon. But I needed this to be available and ready to get out there right away. And then, I'll have the other. So if you want, printed version, you will have that too. All right, so number 9, stay true to the essence. While making adaptations, ensure that you stay true to the essence of the original work. Maintain the spirit and the heart of the story, even as you make changes. So, whatever your moral is and your reason is, you know what I mean, starting from the end, and then we move it back forward. Make sure the essence of that stays in there. Don't get away from it. Don't modify it so much that it's something completely different now and it's not doing what you wanted it to do. Because then we need to start over and have it do what you wanted it to do, because it's going to be a little bit more harder, and it's going to be a little bit more testing when you're doing something that you really don't want to do, but because you've made all these changes, now you have to go through with it. No, we don't. We scrap that. Let's start over, because now we're getting away from what we really wanted, right? So make sure when you're having those brainstorming meetings, you're staying on track. Like, this is the moral of the story. This is what we want to do and what we want to wrap back around to. So, you don't want to have it as something lighthearted, and next thing you know, the ending is very dark, and that's what they hold on to. You want to be able to wrap it back around to what you originally needed it to do. Now, you can take them on that roller coaster. You can go up, down, around, backwards, flip it over, but as long as it's what you really wanted them to have, to take away from that, that's what the point of that is. Number 10, emphasize visual and emotional elements. Enhance visual and emotional elements that can have a powerful impact on your audience. Incorporate scenes, imagery, and interactions that evoke strong emotion. So maybe you have a song come on in the middle where it's just solidifying that emotion. Maybe you have thunder cracking in the sky when we're talking about something of power, of great virtue. Maybe you have a background playing, or a backdrop that is actually enhancing the moment and taking them on that deeper level. Make sure that you incorporate everything that you can. Or maybe there's a narration coming out of a microphone somewhere that's not seen. And maybe that pop, or that excited moment, or maybe it's a loud something that catches the people off guard and makes them jump, or makes them like, whoa, or has some type of effect, and again, start with what you have. And if all you have is a voice that can be loud and kind of, there at that moment, do what you need to do. Consider technical feasibility. So adaptations should be achievable within your technical capabilities and resources. Avoid modifications that might be too complex or expensive to execute. So again, start with what you have. Where are we going with that? How can we manipulate what we have to make it do what we need it to do? Because of course you can. Like I said, my budgets are zero sometimes. So I always like to keep it as close to that, but do my best. And if it needs an upgrade and I have it to be able to do, boom. And once we get to that point where we're talking about monetization and maybe having ticket sales in order to enhance your productions, people would be willing to do that. They're already willing to do that and pay for tickets to go to a movie theater. And again, those things are mostly for entertainment purposes only. But how much more powerful is it if it's based on a true story? Right? It's way more powerful. So we'll get to that point when we get to it. I'm always moving ahead. I apologize. 12, test and refine. After adapting a script, consider doing a read through or workshop with your team to see how the changes resonate and make refinements based on feedback. So again, if we go back to, okay, we want it to be this, we want them to take away this, somewhere in there it got messed up and now we're giving them this. Redo it. Don't feel bad about nothing. Don't say, well, I said that, and so we're going to keep it going. Bring that ego down and actually look at it for what it is, no matter who said it. It's like, it really ain't hitting no more like we wanted it to hit. So, and then change it. Maintain flow and pace, number 13. Ensure that the adapted script maintains a good flow and pacing. Smooth transitions between scenes and a balanced structure are essential for compelling performance. So we want to make sure that you're not having anything too ridiculous where no one can keep up. Like you say, hey, okay, you're going to be on the scene in this scene, and then you're going to exit, but you're going to come right back and you got to run around the whole thing so you can come out from this side. No, I mean, physically, that would be exhausting. So make sure that how you set up your scenes can actually be completed where everyone is feeling like, okay, I know my marks, I know my blocking. I can get there and on time, you know. So make sure you look at that because I know maybe a lot of you may not have theater background, so you may not have a stage manager. You may just have you. So you want to make sure that you see the vision, you can lay it out and write it down for each scene of what's going to be portrayed, where they're going to be, what the lighting is going to be like. It's a lot of work, but you can do it. And that's why maybe you'll have a writer's team and you give them the vision. This is what you want it to be. Here's the script. Now, how are we going to compartmentalize that for each scene? There you go. Right? So then, obviously, you're going to collaborate with the team. So number 14, involve your drama ministry team in the adaptation process. Their creative input and insights can lead to a more well-rounded and engaging script. Number 15, seek permissions if necessary. So if you're adapting a copyrighted work, make sure to secure the necessary permissions from the original author or rights holder. So if, let's say, we're doing Bad Boys 3 and you want to do it as a stage play, there's a certain licensing and different things that you have to do in order to do that. So make sure it's not getting your production shut down. You're not going to be fined for it. Right? So go ahead and start where you're at. Start with the Word of God and then be creative and make your own. And if you're not a good storyteller, find someone who is for your team. You're like, hey, we need a storyteller. We need someone who could take this vision and turn it into da 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 da. Right? And always keep your team involved and let them know that, hey, you're here for a reason and we appreciate you being here. Right? Because we really do. Because it's a lot of work for one person. Um, but again, if that's all you have, you can definitely do it. But if you get the chance at the end of those performances to say, hey, if anybody else would like to, amen, give some help, we would take it. You know what I mean? Make it fun and make somebody be like, you know what? I can help them out. Or I could try, or I could learn. Keep that open door open and let them know where they can step in because it's really fun. And somebody might be looking at you like, oh my goodness, if I could be up there, if I could do those things. Or somebody might be like, oh man, if I could write some of these, I had these ideas in my mind, and if I could get them out. And then here you go, giving the open door to if someone would like to join. This is what we do, or this is how we do, or this is what you need to do. There you go. So then you're building your team. You're showing them that we actually are doing things and it's productive. And trying to stay on topic. Um, yeah, so it's it's really cool when you see those things and then you see people that are actually like come and knock on your door or they give you a ring or they're messaging you like, hey, I saw the performance on and you said, do you still need, is there any way? And then you give an excited, enthusiastic yes. Oh my goodness, tell me about you. What do you do? What would you like to do? What did you see? How did you, what made you want to message? What can you do? And then you start that friendly dialogue. And then you don't make it about credentials. You make it about what would you like to learn, even though you're not saying it in those words. Because there's so many resources for people to learn any aspect of this journey or this production. You know what I mean? So don't count anyone out. If they have the enthusiasm over someone who thinks they are so qualified that they just got this in the bag, I would take that person that's enthusiastic. Because not only are they here to help, they're here to make it a positive and good experience, and they are willing to learn. So we have to make sure that we are being inclusive. And even the ones that do have those credentials, let them know what the atmosphere is. Well, hey, we would love to have you, and you have this background. That's cool. So we all put in our blah, 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 or however you strategize it and put it together for your team and say, we would, like to hear what you have to say. And then we all will discuss it, and then we all come to a decision together. So it's not like they're coming in Joe Clark in the place. You know what I mean? Because then that would take the fun out of it. And then, we want to keep those egos in check. Because again, we're not doing this. He said, do it as if you do it unto God. Now, you don't go to the Lord like, I got this. I've been doing this for 20 years. No, you come to the Lord a little more humble, like, you did bless me to be able to do this. I want to do it. You know what I mean? So it's a really good adventure once you get going with it. And you set the atmosphere, you set the tone because you bring the energy that you want to have in that atmosphere. You, as a drama ministry leader, are that model. You are that voice of this is how we're going to do things. This is how we're going to set it up. This is how we're going to have fun with this. This is how we're going to learn. So don't be afraid to take charge of what you have to do. Make sure that you're being inclusive. Make sure that you're also being, having that discernment hat on as well. Um, because we want to make sure that we are getting the point across that we are trying to get across. And sometimes that's a fine line between someone who is willing to learn and listen and do, and someone who already got it figured out and just cannot work with a team. And you have to know how to handle both of those with love and with care. So I hope that you all got something out of that. I hope that you feel like I can do this. Like I really can. You know what I mean? And then you're like, well, I got the whole how to here. And she's breaking it down for like every single thing. So if I get stuck somewhere, I just, refer back to this book or, let me put it on repeat for that when we're talking about this or that. And let's see if I missed something. Let me go back and listen again. So, because you can do this if you want to, if you have a passion for it. I want to make that clear because we doubt ourselves so much. We don't give ourselves the credit where credit is due. We give it to other people. We shout them down all day. Like, oh my goodness, like that's so great. But when it comes to us, we don't put that same love and care and respect on our own names. And we don't give ourselves that accolade of, yeah, you know what? You really can do whatever you put your mind to. Like this other one turned out really great. We have to make sure that our voice is loud for us. And we balance between having great confidence and courage, and also keeping our ego well balanced. So again, if you are wanting to grab my book so that you can read along, maybe this is the first one that you're hearing, I would recommend that you start over from the welcome. But you can pick this up by clicking the link below for the book, and it'll be it's a downloadable ebook, so it'll be to you within 5 minutes. There are no refunds on it because you can't give back an ebook. You already have it. So I feel like it's a great investment, and you can actually read along with us because I do go pretty much verbatim in each chapter, but then I add those tidbits bits of extra that you might it might help out a little bit to have for your thought process. If you have gathered your team, want to gather your team, you have people that are interested because you said, "Hey, I'm in a newsletter, in a church newsletter," or you made an announcement, a church announcement, or you put it on your Facebook or your Instagram and say, "Hey, I want to start a drama ministry. Does anybody want to do it with me?" And you're like, "Well, I do, but I'm not a trained actor. I don't know how to," you know what I'm saying? Also call me and we will get a workshop set up for you. And in that workshop, I teach them the technical abilities of acting and the how-tos and the line memorizations and the scene study with your partner. And we go over the basic foundations of those things so that they have somewhere to start from. And then what do they do once they have that information? They practice. And you practice some more. But guess what? You're already well on your way. So if you're ready to do the workshop, you can go to awapzone.com, or if you just want to check out more information, see, okay, like I said in the beginning, the About Me section, who am I? What have I done? What's going on? Or if you want to just leave me a message and say, hey, I have a question, you can put it in the comments below. You can message me. My office phone number is there, and it's set up to be as a regular phone. So you can text, and you can, leave a voicemail, and you can call. Excuse me, phone calls are the hardest for me to get right back to. But if you have a quick question you want quickly answered, go ahead and send me that. And then I'll get back to you way sooner. So, anything else that I can help with, let me know. And also, for your first production, I can give you guidance that's included in the workshop with the training to give guidance for that first production. So, in order to help it run smoothly, in order for you to understand or to be like, oh, I forgot this, or oh, I didn't know, or whatever question you might have, I'll be right there to help you. And depending on where you are, it may be via phone, via doing a FaceTiming something, or, just to help out and make sure that you got this, or even to be on a conference call with you and your team when you're brainstorming. Whatever you might need to really say, yo, I got this with confidence. That's what I'm here for. So, the doors of the church are open. um, I'm so glad to be able to do this, you guys. This has been so many years in the making, and I am glad to bring this information back home. And I am looking forward to see what the Lord is going to do with all this. Because I'm very excited for you and your drama ministry and you being able to make that impact right where you are. And if we're all setting all these little fires, eventually we're going to burn the forest down. You know what I mean? Eventually it's going to be contagious and it's going to spread. And that is what we want. We want the word to spread. So again, I am Judith, Coach J, owner of Juju Star Productions LLC. And until next time, y'all, deuces.